Call to order this meeting of the Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. I would note that all commissioners are present. Fred Engels present electronically. Mona Johnson is not able to join us. She's on an assignment from her daughter in Delaware, but she sends her regrets to all. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. As the pledge will be led by Commissioner Sanderson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Greetings, everybody. What will be the last meeting of 2021 for the Board of Commissioners? We'll start with public comment, petitions, complaints. Anybody wish to address the board tonight? Okay, hearing none. We'll go to approval of minutes, November 18th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
That was Fleming and Napper. I forgot to identify myself.
Okay.
Sorry.
I think Dave knows you. That's fine.
I thought our melodious voice. I thought someone was keeping minutes electronically.
Oh, is there?
We're good, but
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
thank you.
Apologies.
Reports of committees, buildings and grounds, Commissioner Rothrock.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Buildings and Grounds Committee met on November the 23rd with ECI Construction for a project kickoff meeting. This is a side to this, I just thought they did an excellent job running through all the details that were necessary to get this project off the ground. So we're looking at a start date of early January, and the completion target is April 29th, 2022. Remodeling, rehab of our administration building. Our staff is going to be moving operations to the basement so they can clear the first floor off for the contractor. And as a part of that move, we're looking to incorporate a document conversion by Scantex so that many of the documents can be moved out, because they're going to have to be moved anyway, and digitized, and the ones that we don't need to keep by law could be destroyed, and we have the digital format of that. That's going to modernize our document storage system and conserve space in the new office at this time. And that proposal is something that we're looking at this evening, and we'll talk about that further a little later in the meeting. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you very much. Budget, finance, insurance, it's budget time. So at this point, I'd like to convene a hearing on the 2022 budget. Solicitor, has the budget been duly and properly advertised?
It has, Mr. President.
Okay. Does anybody in the audience, the staff first, wish to address any comments to the board about the budget?
I would just say, Mr. President, that the budget, as authorized at your prior meeting, has been available for public inspection here at the municipal building, as well as available online. We received no comment on the proposed budget that's before you this evening, and at this point, be happy to answer any questions that the commissioners have, but no additional comments at this point.
At this point, this is the time for public comment on the 2022 budget. Does anybody wish to offer any comment on the budget? All right, hearing none, sealing is closed. Moving on to consideration of ordinance 21-11, fixing general and special purpose tax rates for 2022. And then with the, it offers no change in any tax rate.
Motion to adopt, Sanderson.
Second, Fleming.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up would be the adoption of said 2022 budget.
Motion to adopt. Sanderson.
Second. Fine.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? There's a lot of silence when you don't raise taxes. That's good. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Public Works, Commissioner Napper.
No report, sir.
Thank you. Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Barczyk.
Yes, just a few notes about the pen waste pickup. There is no yard waste pickup in the month of December. However, they conduct a pickup of Christmas trees the second and third Saturdays of January, which would be January 8th and January 15th. And at that time, if you have any yard waste left behind, they'll take that as well. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to mention at this point that the board did meet in executive session where we discussed matters of personnel, real estate, and litigation. Health and Sanitation is covered by Commissioner Barczyk. Administration and Personnel, Commissioner Napper.
Yes, I'm going to let Manager Kratzer tee this one off. This is for admin personnel, sir.
Yeah, sounds good, Commissioner Napper, or Vice President Napper. So there's a couple items that are before you this evening coming out of the Admin and Personnel Committee. The first item is to, as the board is aware, there were a number of positions that we were advertising for due to vacancies. So the first action that we're seeking is, or first action before you is to authorize the offer of conditional offers of employment for the positions of administrative assistant for administration community development, and then to make also a conditional offer for the position of equipment operator within the highway division of the Public Works Department.
I'd like to make a motion to approve those two offers.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Napper and Sanderson. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, this is the, I'm stealing your thunder, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go for it.
This is a consideration of weekly COVID testing policy for unvaccinated employees. This has been the subject of a great deal of discussion and consideration, and the board has before it a draft that is proposed for adoption by the staff, and this came as a result of bi-weekly meetings held by myself, Commissioner Napper, Manager Kratzer, and Chief Martin. And I think we looked at every angle of this, and we all understand the health threat that's posed by COVID and continues to be. I understand our positive test rate has spiked to 16% in central Pennsylvania in the last couple of weeks. Also our employees, come in contact with members of the public on a regular basis. In part, that's for a lot of them, that's their job. And so we want to do everything we can, not only to protect our employees from the public at large that may be affected, but not to be the cause of infection by a member of the public who happens to come in contact with one of our employees. So with that as a brief background, the chair would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second, Fleming.
Moved by Napper, second by Fleming. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that we certify the new civil service list.
Moved by Commissioner Fleming,
Second.
by Commissioner Pine. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's Fred.
Yeah, I lost your sound there for a minute.
Okay. Sounding perky, though. That's good. Sorry.
Second, Commissioners. Probationary police officer, based on the conditions of the Municipal Police Officers Education Training Commission, to Mr. Jacob Roush.
Mr. President, I would move that we make a conditional offer of employment for the position of probationary police officer to Mr. Roush.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments? Mr. Roush is in the audience, I believe. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations.
I'm going to steal him for a little bit.
Time for paperwork.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. Is that it for police? Fred, did you have anything else for the good of the order?
I did not. That concludes my report.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all for making the motions.
Thank you, sir. Fire and EMS, Commissioner Fleming?
Yes, Mr. President, just quickly, I wanted to report that Santa this Saturday is in the Progress area, so be on the lookout for that. And on Sunday the 19th is in the Rescue fire coverage area. And I believe on the 11th, there is breakfast with Santa at Rescue Fire Company. So be mindful of that. You can have breakfast with Santa. And just wanted to mention as well, we thank the Dauphin County Commissioners for recognizing a couple of Susquehanna Township folks. Retired Progress Fire Chief Ken McCann and STEMS Chief Bob Smith both received the 2021 Craig Webb Award for leadership from the Dauphin County Commissioners. So we thank them for their recognition, and we congratulate Mr. McCann and Mr. Smith on receipt of the Craig Webb Award for leadership. So our kudos go out to them. Great job.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Recreation, Commissioner Johnson's not here. Do you have anything, Commissioner Barczyk?
I do not.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. There was a planning commission meeting on the 22nd of November. There was one item on the agenda, which was Blue Mountain Commons, which is a preliminary and final subdivision plan to subdivide off 3/4 of an acre, which is currently occupied by the PNC Bank building. After we had a historic first executive session of the Planning Commission, led by our solicitor, the plan was recommended for approval by the Board of Commissioners, subject to conditions, and is on our agenda later. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. All right. Bids and agreements. First up is the 2022 Davis Landscape Maintenance Service Agreement, CoStar's contract 29040. Is there, what's the will of the board?
Motion to adopt.
Moved by Sanderson,
Second.
by Pine. Any comments or questions?
Is this the same terms as the contract they operated on last?
Yeah, there is a slight increase in price, obviously, because of inflationary. There's an inflationary increase in terms of the price. There have been some additional areas that have been added as well, and perhaps, Doug, I don't know if you have any information on that, but additional areas that we're mowing as part of adjacent to the Greenbelt Trail and so forth, but Doug can provide some additional information there.
Yeah, so we added Boyd Park as a location, a buffer around the trail at Logan Park to keep the trail clear of growth and everything. A once a month mowing of Margaret's Grove, just to keep that managed. And then from Edgemont, or not Edgemont, from East Cemetery, past Pine Street to, I believe it's Sycamore is down there, maintaining along the fence edge, along the green belt. That's all.
Yeah, I think our guys did that on an emergency basis last year for the Tour de Belt.
Well, it then continued.
Then that continued?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the volunteers had
They-
come unavailable for some reason.
Yeah, they kind of lost some volunteers
Right.
that aged out and were no longer available and,
Mhm.
and so forth. Now they still are. CAG is still going to maintain the green belt around the state hospital grounds.
Okay.
So they're still doing what they can.
Do great work.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2022 Municipal Domestic Animal Protective Service Agreement between the Township and the Humane Society of Harrisburg area.
Yes, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, the agreement before you is an agreement that you've seen each year. It's fundamentally similar to the terms of the 2021 agreement. Again, as you're aware, we have certain obligations under the Pennsylvania dog law, so this Humane Society helps us in meeting those obligations. We would recommend approval of the agreement.
Motion to adopt the agreement, Sanderson.
Second, Napper.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is our Managed IT Services Agreement. Mr. Kratzer?
Yes, so before you, Commissioners, is an agreement for 2022, 2023, 2024. Just to provide some background, we did solicit a series of proposals from other firms providing this service. There were 3 proposals in total. The one before you is with Intermix IT, which is actually our current provider of the service. They had the lowest cost proposal. There was relative parity in terms of the cost, but they were slightly lower than any of the other providers. They've done well for us, so we would recommend your consideration to reauthorize a contract for the next 3 years for intermixing.
Motion to adopt,
Second, Napper.
Sanderson.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions?
I do have a quick one.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President. Didn't they also provide some service as we were going through the renovation process?
Yeah, I mean they're
Advice in terms of.
they're available for consultation in that regard. Yep. So
Okay.
again, we've been happy with the provider, and again would be interested in continuing the engagement if the board is so inclined.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Scan tech proposal, Dave. Betsy.
Good evening. As Commissioner Rothrock had discussed earlier in his report, part of the renovations, we want to get our documents scanned and start a document management system, which would be beneficial to all township employees as well as the public. So before you is a proposal. We've looked at several companies, and this is the one that we chose to go with. The first amount is for let's see, $104,128.50, and that's to do the scanning of all of our departments' documentation. That's an estimate for them. And then the second part would be $9,500. That's for the initial setup as well as the first year of the software that we would be using, which is Laserfiche. And then the next the annual fee would be $5,350 a year for 5 licenses.
Right, so just some additional information in terms of the bulk of the proposal, which again relates to document conversion. We have been in consultation or in communication with ZA, who's been consulting us or providing consultation to us on use of American Rescue Plan Act funds. They have determined, based on the kind of remote work capabilities, as well as just, again, increasing access to documentation, allowing people to interact with us in ways that don't require their physical attendance to the office, that it would be an eligible direct expense. So this is an opportunity for us to utilize some of the ARPA funds that we had received to address an issue that, again, enhances our telework capabilities in the event that there is a need, and also, again, provides increased access to folks in terms of the transaction of business without physically having to come into the office. So just that bit of information for you as you consider the proposal.
It's also great, considering that we're soon to be in the process of renovating space and moving files and information around. So this comes at a particularly good time.
Yep.
And all this information will be in the cloud.
Yes, yeah, it's all cloud-based, yep, and secured. And they follow the Pennsylvania Historic Society's regulations for municipal government. So they're
For retention.
For retention, yep. They'll go through all of that. We don't have to do that. That's part of what they'll do is the contract.
So they're doing all the logging of the scanning and everything?
They'll do all the logging, all the scanning, and then upload it into the system with tags and everything. So they'll do like batch uploads.
All the indexing, all of that. Yep.
How far they go back? All your documents?
So
many years?
we didn't really include the documents that are above the fire station. I think we got a price on those, but at this time we're just doing what's in the building. So it would be, the records that are required to be maintained perpetually. So a lot of the land use records, subdivisions, finance records, and they'll base it off of what
All the work.
Yep.
I have a question. Is there a document storage component as well? What happens once they scan everything? Are we going to get them back, or?
So I think the ones that we're required to maintain and like physical copies of will have returned. For the other ones, they will destroy them, and they'll provide the resolution that we need to authorize that destruction.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve that contract.
Second, Sanderson.
Seconded. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Are you doing Zen City?
You want to do it?
Next up is the Zen City pilot program.
So this is a pilot program that's basically a data mining program. It looks at issues that are coming before our community with in social media and things that might not be present in our regular social media contacts. Zen City, this is a pilot program, so for the cost of $10,000, we have 6 months to try out this program to see if it is beneficial for the township and helps us realize the 85% of unknown issues within the township that people are concerned about. It's all anonymous. It's just going through different services and kind of collecting that data to see what people are talking about and what their concerns are. And we do have someone.
I think Jessica's on the line, yeah. I don't know if she's able to hear us, though. Can you?
Jessica, can you hear us? I don't know if Madison has.
Hello?
Here she is.
Did you want to add anything to Zen City?
I haven't been able to hear your voices, no, so I'm not sure if you had asked a question.
Can you hear it? Can you hear us now?
Ah.
Did she say yes, or?
I heard it.
Can hear now.
Okay. We gave a basic background on Zen City. Is there anything you'd like to present to the board?
I guess not, just because I didn't actually hear what was said, so I guess I guess I'll just let that be it.
So Jessica, this is Dave. Are you able to hear me?
Hey, hi.
Hi.
I am now. Yeah, I couldn't
Okay.
hear it all before.
Sounds good. So one of the questions that was posed to me that perhaps you can address has to do with, when we're talking about capturing the kind of 85% of the conversation that may not be in traditional form, how you, to the extent that somebody is making repetitive posts on repetitive social media channels, how do you ensure that if I'm choosing to post something 100 times, that you're not counting that as 100 unique kind of pieces of conversation? How does the system work in that regard?
That's a good question. So we have, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yep.
We have something called the Troll Patrol, which basically means that in those instances, we can identify when there's, one user, one voice that's, as you said, repetitive over and over, kind of blasting out statements that are, again, going to be the same kind of thing over and over again. We are able to detect that and make sure that it's not being counted more times than just, the one initial comment.
Okay. Can you also speak a little bit to how the data is, just in terms of privacy-related issues, how the data is anonymized and aggregated through the system in the event that anybody has any concern regarding individual privacy concerns with the system?
Definitely. So, yeah, so the first thing is we're not actually pulling any data from any individual pages or users. It's all coming from public groups that the public can access, and we don't, everything's anonymized, so we don't take any user information, any IP addresses, anything at all. It's literally just the text of comments. So the actual poster is completely protected in terms of privacy, and we're completely, up to in accordance with the privacy regulations of the sources that we're connected with.
That's good. Justin, I don't know if you had any questions or anybody has.
No, that covered my our concerns.
And then Jessica, just to provide some background in terms of the municipalities in Pennsylvania that you're working with, just briefly, just for the commissioner's sake.
Sure. Yeah, let me pull up my list again. 1 second.
While we're waiting, Mr. President, I would make a motion to approve this contract, this pilot test of 6 months.
Second, Sanderson.
Motion by Commissioner
So
Pine.
we are, oh, sorry.
Can we hear the say before we
Um,
vote?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't think he's calling for a vote. In fact, I think we have more discussion.
Thanks for asking them.
No. I was just, while we were waiting, usually we actually make a motion before
Actually,
we
all this
even-
conversation should have occurred after vote second anyway. So, tied up loose ends. Thanks for checking.
You can go ahead, Jessica.
Okay, so we are with Cranberry Township, State College, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh at the moment.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
Just in terms of comments, Mr. President, if I may, the Communications Committee considered this and reviewed and had a more extensive discussion. And I think one of the good things about this proposal, and again, it's a pilot, is that we're in the age of COVID. I don't know about, I can't speak for all the commissioners, but I know that I'm receiving a whole lot less input from citizens than I typically have had during the non-COVID periods in previous years. And I think there's you talked about having the potential for one person doing multiple hits on social media. Well, I think we are currently in a mode of 20/80, where I think probably 20% of our constituents are providing us with about 80% of what we're hearing. And that's not representative. And I think that a system like this can help us to perhaps understand and find really what's going on in Susquehanna Township that we may not be aware of. And anything that can be helpful. Personally, I can say providing me with citizen input, is a valuable tool.
And Jessica, related to that issue, just in terms of capturing conversations, can you talk about the system's ability to capture perhaps conversations that are happening in other languages within our community?
Yeah, so we do translate into 7 different languages. So if there's a language that you would request, the chances are that we can do that. And I don't know if you guys, did you touch at all on the reports that we create for you?
We did not. If you can go into that, that'd be fine. Briefly.
I just want to share because I think that that's one of the one of the best features is as a decision-making tool. So when you have a topic or an issue or a policy decision coming up, whether it's a development project or it's related to a new policy or budget, whatever it is, you can request from the team of data analysts that work with you. Aside from the social media monitoring aspect, you are working with a team of analysts and a customer success manager who will find out from you at any given time, what you need more feedback on, but also if you need to understand more of the nuances of the feedback. So let's say there's a development coming up and you hear from the same people, 10 people that they're negative. We can dive into not just, what percentage of the feedback is actually negative and positive, but also find out for you what are the main concerns behind what these sentiments are. So really it's a tool that, that's used really for any decisions, council, commission, to have that extra sort of layer of, third party analysis of the feedback that your community is giving, but to really help draw conclusions from it and make recommendations. So it's definitely, something where the reports are often printed out and shared and brought to meetings before an important decision to make sure that you have the most data to be informed about what you decide to do.
Any other comments or questions, Jessica?
Yeah, I was just wondering, because we do have a growing population of Bhutanese and Nepalese, if their languages are any of the languages that you could translate.
So I believe that we can request any languages that are not already offered. I'm pretty sure that it's something that could be done. I don't know if it would be available immediately, but we're definitely able to accommodate new requests. Just with the understanding that it might not be rolled out the first day, because once you sign, we can go live within about a week. So likely it would be something that we could roll into it. Just not sure at the moment what the time frame would be, but I would say that the likelihood is that yes, we can translate into the languages that you request.
If we could confirm that.
Yeah.
Should we approve this agreement tonight? If we could be kept apprised of that, I think that's a key.
Sure.
That's going to be a critical piece of communicating with everybody. Or at least making sure we have feedback from the largest swath of residents.
Jessica, do you have readily available what languages you do among those 7?
I don't think I have the list. I know. What are the main languages that you guys have that would be at the top of your list?
Spanish is obviously the top.
Definitely one of them.
I think Chinese might also.
I wonder if Vietnamese may.
Yeah, I mean, one of our plans, to the extent that on this particular issue would be to engage with the school district.
Right.
Again, as you recall, when we had our joint session with the school board, there was a presentation or a slide in a presentation that spoke about the diversity of languages that are spoken in our community. So we can absolutely look into that and utilize the information from the district in order to maximize the utility of the translation services that are available through the software.
Who receives the
We
information?
do work with cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco and, Chicago. So chances are, if I'm positive we have Vietnamese. I think, when you think about the different demographics of those cities, and we do translate into the main languages there that they have, I think chances are that we will be able to translate into the ones that you need.
Who receives the information at the township?
So there's 5 users who would be able to receive the information, and then we can prepare reports and send them out to the commissioners. So.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Properly moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thanks, Betsy.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica.
Very welcome.
Ordinances, resolutions. Consider ordinance 21-12 relative to the establishment and maintenance of police pension annuity insurance and benefit fund or funds, to amend certain provisions of the police pension plan or program applicable to the police employees of said township. Kratzer.
That was a lot, right, Mr. President?
Especially with a mask on. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ordinance before you really relates to the establishment of a deferred retirement option program in the police pension plan in particular. Again, that is statutorily enabled, and so you had previously authorized publication of the notice of intent to adopt, so this is now back before you. The solicitor worked closely with us as well as with the bargaining unit in terms of the terms and conditions of the drop. As I think we previously reported, the terms and conditions are fair to both parties. The duration is 24 months in terms of duration in which somebody can participate in the deferred retirement option program, and we would recommend approval of the ordinance that's before you.
Motion to adopt. Sanderson.
Second, Napper.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 21R12, adopting the 2021 hazard mitigation plan as the Susquehanna Township hazard mitigation plan.
Yeah, the agenda is generally self-explanatory in terms of what it's doing. This is a required action in order to, as noted in the resolution, it's a prerequisite for receiving post-disaster hazard mitigation grants. And again, this is consistent with the actions that we've taken in the past, where the township has adopted the county plan as the official hazard mitigation plan of the township. And in addition to doing that, the resolution also authorizes respective officials and agencies identified in the plan to essentially execute the recommended activities that are contained within the plan. George, I don't know if you have anything else on this issue. EMA Director Reist is recommending approval of the plan as our official hazard mitigation plan.
Motion to adopt. Sanderson.
Second, Fleming. Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Union Green, the consideration of the partial release of the financial security in the amount of $465,348. Remaining balance of just over $1 million.
Hey, Mr. President, members of the board, good evening. Before you have a request from Susquehanna Union Green. It's release number 11. for financial security in the amount of $465,348. This is for Phase 1, which is the infrastructure that has been installed within the internal part of the development. And as you know, the development is moving forward. Just had the opening of Panera Bread and Wendy's the other day, earlier this week. And I would recommend that the reduction of $465,348 be approved, leaving a remaining balance of Phase 1 of $1,090,784.
Motion to authorize the release.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Mr. Pine. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And next is the developers agreement between the township and Triple Crown relative to the enclave at Elmerton.
Good evening, again. This is a developer's agreement with the Enclave at Elmerton. We're bringing it before you tonight. The plan was conditionally approved last month by the board, and as part of the developer's agreement, they are, as part of the land development plan, they're doing some work for the capital area greenbelt to stabilize an area, the spur off of Andrea Drive, and with those changes, they're requesting consideration of a reduction in their, sorry, I'm trying to find the right spot.
Page 3, yeah. So, no, they're requesting, so given the fact that they're doing this off-site work, they're requesting an offset of the recreation fee. So again, the gross recreation fee for the project due is $429,000, so that's the 156 units times the 2,750, less what they're asking for, which is a greenbelt credit in the amount of $104,836, leaving a net rec fee due of $324,164. So again, recognizing that there's this offset provision because of this off-site improvement that's being made, we thought it important to bring it back to the commissioners, make you aware of the offset, make sure that obviously you're comfortable with the offset and that you're authorizing the offset in the form of a developer's agreement. We've been interfacing with the Capital Area Greenbelt Association. They are, and HRG has been working on the scope of improvement to that, again, to stabilize that and to improve that section of the Greenbelt. CAGA, as a volunteer organization, is very excited about the proposed improvements, addressing some of the drainage issues in particular that were not able to be addressed, I guess, as part of the original construction due to just the limited resource that was available at that time and in terms of the funding that was received for that section of the Greenbelt. So, again, recognizing that there's this offset provision, important for you guys to be aware and again authorize that if you're so inclined.
So what's the total once more, Dave?
So the total that they will pay, in addition to making all of the improvements that they've contemplated, they will pay $324,164. The amount would have been $429, but again, there's this offset. That offset was based on a scope that HRG had developed to improve that section of trail. And then you ultimately did review the reasonableness of the offset as well.
Yes, we did. We reviewed the not only the scope which we prepared, but also the pricing that went into it, and it is reasonable and represents market prices.
HRG is making a recommendation.
We're making a recommendation that the offset be approved as well as the developer's agreement.
Okay.
Move to approve the execution of the agreement.
Second, Sanderson.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Any comments? Questions? And this, I assume this has been reviewed by our legal counsel?
It has, Mr. President. It's my understanding that developer is also subject to an open space conservation easement agreement and a public trail easement agreement.
Public trail would go down to the spur or over to?
It's the trail connecting to the Greenbelt, I believe.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, they can't do an easement across the state property for the sidewalk because it's state property, but they have an agreement with them.
Okay.
The easement would be from connecting the back part of the development to the spur. Trying.
So the solicitor's fine with this?
Yes, we recommend approval.
Any feedback from the commission? Planning commission?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I didn't know if this was before them.
I mean, this was discussed as part of like what they were doing for the recreational part of it. I don't think the specific amounts were discussed before the planning commission.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Blue Mountain Commons. Take it away, Betsy.
Okay, this is a preliminary final subdivision plan for subdividing 0.74 acres, which is lot 2 from the main parcel of 23.19 acres. This is at the Giant shopping center. They are subdividing off PNC Bank so that they can purchase their property. The property is located at 2300 Linglestown Road, and it's in the Commercial Highway District in Ward 9. The Planning Commission has reviewed the request, and they have made some changes based on the conditions that were recommended by the Planning Commission. So these new conditions reflect the changes that had occurred in between. So actually the first one that they have already addressed. So it's provide the site triangle on the northwestern corner of lot 2 to verify the landscape buffer is not interfering with line of sight. Provide a revised plan addressing the outstanding staff and engineer comments. Improve identification on the plan of access easement on private drive and drive aisle. Revise the declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions and easements to include a statement that any amendment shall be in agreement with the township and to address any outstanding comments, which is there twice.
Additionally, in the event the commissioners have any questions, Attorney Strong is here representing the applicant, as well as I believe somebody from the applicant is here as well, if there's any questions that the commissioners have.
I have a question regarding the easement. This is a landlocked, not having any public road. Access is a drive. Just curious about how that's going to be set up. And do those easements go with the sale of the property? And
Yeah, so any easement would go with the property that they provide. So they would need to provide an access easement along that private drive that goes up into Giant, not the stoplight one, but the other one that's right in front of PNC Bank. And that will be the property's front access. And then the drive aisle will also have an access easement over it for, if any reason that there's any concerns in the future, those go with the property.
So if they want to sell lot 2,
yes, they will have access.
they're not planning on selling it, right?
Well, I think PNC is planning on purchasing it, so they can continue to keep their.
You said they are purchasing or are not purchasing?
Yeah, PNC is purchasing it from the shopping center.
Okay.
Right,
So
yeah.
they intend to maintain the PNC Bank, yep.
So they just want to stand alone.
Correct.
I have a question regarding the access point from Linglestown Road where it's right turn in and right turn out, right near PNC. And it's not really related to the division of this lot, but while folks are here, I thought I might bring it up. So right next to that shopping center is the community where there's seniors live, and a lot of them walk over, and they're really thankful to have the shopping center there, I think, and there's a sidewalk that leads there. But there's no sidewalk up that right turn in and right turn out, and that's where most of them walk or ride their scooters and pull their shopping carts. So it's kind of dangerous, and I don't know if there's any possibility, it has no bearing on this vote, but if there's any possibility to put some kind of walkway or sidewalk there, because I know there is a sidewalk that goes way around, but being seniors, they're not going to walk all that extra distance to stay in a sidewalk.
So they're kind of competing with traffic, and it's especially dangerous when it's dark.
I don't know if you.
Not yet.
Good evening, Jamie Strong with McNeese Wallace and Newark. We were just looking at the plan back there. We'll take those comments back and talk to them about that. We were just looking at the plan real quickly, and there is going to be a landscape buffer between the PNC parking lot and that access drive, which would be where you would locate a sidewalk, but maybe we can look at on the other side. But we'll certainly take that concern back and have them look at that.
Sure, thank you, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Any other comments or questions? Betsy, do you want to weigh in here?
I would just add that the landscape buffer is a requirement because the parking is in the setback, so it meets our zoning code by having the landscape buffer, which is why it's been added.
All right, do we have a motion?
A motion to approve the plan subject to the conditions listed.
Second, Sanderson.
Moved and seconded. Comments, questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Logan.
Thank you.
Reports of staff. Manager?
I have nothing beyond the agenda items, Mr. President.
All right. Public safety, anything back there? All right. Engineer, you have your report.
Our report is in your packet. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have, Mr. President.
Solicitor?
No report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you. School Board, Commissioner Fleming.
Yes, Mr. President. Just briefly, I want to congratulate the two new school directors who joined the board at their reorganization meeting on Monday, Mr. Kalanji Johnson and Ms. Rebecca McCullough, who were sworn in as new members of the board. Several members of the board were reelected as well. And just wanted to congratulate John Dietrich for being voted president and Jesse Rawls for being voted vice president for this coming term. And, you know, we look forward as a township to working with the school board to ensure that, you know, we can cooperate as much as possible and that we can be as helpful as we possibly can. We're very unique. It's been mentioned before, but we're one of very few municipalities in Dauphin County that share a border with the school, where the school district and the municipality share the same borders. So we're all in this together. So certainly they'll have our cooperation, and we look forward to working with the new members and the rest of the board. So that concludes my report.
Mr. President, regarding a report on the authority, about 5 years ago, the authority tried to start collecting delinquent authority fees, which had been accumulating over prior years in certain quantity. So we first started at President Lynch's direction to send out letters and tried to collect voluntarily, and that had some success. And after about 18 months or thereabouts, we decided, the authority decided to move forward and engage the services of a collector, which operated under the requirements, state requirements, Public Utility Commission, and so forth. And I am very pleased to announce that the authority has collected approximately $4.5 million in delinquent fees. Why is that important? Because that actually lowers the costs for everybody. So within the space of 5 years, out of $5 million in delinquent fees, we've collected approximately $4.5 million. That's local government working for the residents and the businesses. And I think that's important to know. My report.
Thank you. Shade Tree, Commissioner Pine?
Yes, Mr. President, I just want to express the thanks of the Shade Tree Commission to this board, especially President Lynch, Budget Secretary Sanderson, and co-liaison Rivarchik, for a significant increase in funding for the Shade Tree Commission. Price of trees went way up within the last year, and between that and other ideas that the Shade Tree Commission has in terms of helping out with trees in the township, I think it's a great move, so thank you for that. But that's all.
Okay, thank you. Communications.
No report other than what we've already discussed in terms of the agreement earlier.
We have a deadline coming up on the new newsletter, right, Doug?
Yes, December 13th, next
Okay.
Monday.
I put it on my calendar.
Okay.
All right. Parks and Rec, anything? I guess we're going to be hearing from,
Doug, you want to come up maybe and just...
where the hell? There it is. Yeah, we're going to be hearing from Doug in a minute anyway. Old business, 2022 playground program. Knaus.
Yeah, so through discussion and concerns expressed at the last meeting by Commissioner Robichuk, we have come up with the conclusion that we will continue to offer the summer playground program at no charge for township residents, and impose a small fee to a non-resident to participate in that program. So it'll still be a benefit to our residents that are in need of that type of programming. And we would then, as we've done in the past, if they choose to participate in a field trip or an extracurricular type activity like that, we would charge that direct cost.
Cool. Thank
Questions?
you.
Thank you for your work on that. That sounds like a great compromise.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. All right, new business. We have two, our first two items are tax assessment appeal settlements. They've cleared county, they need to be cleared by township, or they need to be addressed by the township, the school district, and the county. To our knowledge, the Linlow Properties appeal and the Nickel Plate appeal settlement both have received county approval, but we're not sure that they've received school district approval. So without an immediate do so, the chair will look for a motion to table those items.
So moved, Sanderson.
Second. Moved and seconded. All comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Mr. Kratzer, boards and commission meeting schedule.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Before the commissioners this evening is the 2022 schedule for various boards and commissions. Again, generally the schedule is maintained consistent with the prior year schedules to the extent that dates are moved from, the typical day of the month. It's generally because of a holiday that is occurring, either a secular holiday or a religious holiday. So before you is the schedule. We're seeking authorization to advertise the schedule for purposes of meeting the obligations under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act.
Is there a motion?
So moved, Sanderson.
Second, Fleming. Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I don't have it before me, but I assume that the January 3 reorganization date and time has been set?
Yes, so your reorganization, which is incorporated into the notice that'll be published, is January 3rd, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. is the time, which again is
Pincus room.
Here in the Pincus room, which is again consistent with the time that you've done in the past.
Okay.
We've also, just on that issue, been in communication with the soon-to-be new magisterial district justice. She will be here that evening, available to swear in commissioners, as well as we have a tax collector to swear in as well. on January 3rd. So just so as you're planning, just know that the magisterial district justice will be available for purposes of doing that. Obviously, if you choose to bring somebody else, you have that option, but we've made arrangements with the MDJ.
And I talked to Marion Urrutia, and she said she would be honored to take part in our ceremony.
Absolutely.
While you mentioned tax collector, I know there's been discussion between our county treasurer, who actually collects our taxes, and the elected tax collector. You know the status of that, Dave?
So I anticipate that the elected tax collector is going to be sworn in, but he's going to delegate authority to Janice Creason as the county treasurer to actually do the collection activity. So that would be done by a tri-party agreement. It would be an agreement, and you've done this in the past with other collectors. So it would be an agreement between the county, the township, and the actual elected tax collector. Chris Nowak is the name of the tax collector. He's just been a pleasure to deal with. Just a very gracious guy, and understands the value of the relationship with the tax collector in terms, the county treasurer rather, in terms of functioning as tax collector, just from a cost efficiency standpoint and its efficiency to taxpayer and so forth. So I would anticipate that while he's sworn in on January 3rd, at your first meeting in January, there would be that tri-party agreement for your consideration and review.
Good. Certainly hope so. Scary. 2022 appointments, reappointments. We have 3. Zoning hearing board, a seat held by Luann Cards-Fick, who is the chair, expires at the end of the month, and their meeting, the meeting of the zoning hearing board pending business will occur before our first meeting, at which we typically appoint members to boards and commissions. So the chair would look for a nomination for the zoning hearing board vacancy.
Mr. President, I would like to nominate Luann Carnes-Fick. Can you, another term on the zoning hearing board?
Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And there are 2 members of the Susquehanna Township Authority. This never used to be an issue for us because the authority was on a fiscal year, started in August. And of course, we met in January. We would make our appointments in January. Now, the authority has switched to a calendar cycle, just like us. But their first meeting at which they reorganize is going to be before our meeting when we make all our typical appointments. So there's 2 vacancies that are going to come up as of December 31st. One is Commissioner Sanderson, and one is myself.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I move to make a motion to reappoint Sean Sanderson to the Susquehanna Township Authority Board.
Second. Then second. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Frank Lynch. I think I know him. Back on the authority as well.
I'll second.
Moved in seconded. Well, thank you. That's quite an honor.
That was Rothrock.
That was Rothrock. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. So I don't know whether it's a term or a sentence, but thank you.
Mr. President, if I can interject just on the subject of the authority, the residents of the 5th Ward, or at least the southernmost tip of the 5th Ward, are going to be paying the fees to the authority this year for the first time, or they've started. And I'm very pleased to hear Commissioner Sanderson's comments about chasing those unpaid fees and how that's going to be helpful to all the ratepayers. But just in general with the project, I just want to thank the authority for the good work that was done on this project. And and, you know, the fact that the authority paid a large portion of the cost of the project. You know, and I've made this point to my constituents over and over, how much the authority has paid towards this project, and we really appreciate it. And I speak as a person who just for the first time this year got sewer myself. So I thank you personally, but also on behalf of...
Welcome to the 1900s.
Yes, Mr. President. Thank you.
So the other thing, we probably should have reported this under the authority's report section, but just while we're talking about the good work that the authority has done, just for informational purposes, the authority at its last meeting in December adopted its 2022 budget and has retained its user fees at their current rate. So in addition to the no tax increase that you just voted on, there will be no increases in sanitary sewer or stormwater rate in 2022. And in fact, on the authority side, again, as a result of the good work there and the cooperation that's existed between the parties, that rate has remained steady since 2017. There has not. That was the last time there was an increase in that rate. So, so just sharing that information as well.
All right, moving on to commissioner comments.
Mr. President,
Yes.
as we all know, Susquehanna Township is a first-class township. We are a first-ring suburb of a third-class city, City of Harrisburg. We were incorporated, I think, in 1962.
52.
52. Thank you.
I
And
don't remember that.
No, but it's good to know. And the reason that's important is that first-class townships, first-ring townships, have a life cycle. It happens sooner than second-class townships, which are typically more rural. They're farther out from population density. So the growth cycle follows very briefly development, and then it reaches a peak, and then it matures, and then it peters out. We have reached our peak in terms of development. That's important to know for several reasons. A rising tide lifts all boats, particularly when it comes to budgeting. That means for paying for expenses, infrastructure and emergency services, which are fundamentally the responsibility of the municipality. We have had an excellent run of development, great planning, and great budget management, and great administrative management across every office. We have been the beneficiary of increasing property values because of growth. And because we are uniquely situated along certain corridors, highway corridors, and we have excellent commercial and industrial properties. But we've run out of land. And we were just talking a little earlier about the development of Union Green, which is approximately 60 acres. We don't have that much land left. That's it. That's a bit of hyperbole, but that's true. Mr. Grubik of HRG has actually seen this growth. And he has been primary participant in the development of the township. Where does that bring us? That brings us to a mature phase of the township, meaning that the infrastructure that was built since the early 50s is broken. And the remaining infrastructure that is new still has its life cycle to go. But all these costs will increase, including emergency services and administrative services. And when property values rise, you get a bigger bang for your buck when you have taxes. So in other words, if a rising value of 1% of $1,000 is less than 1% of $100,000, where does that leave us? That leaves us in the important position of changing planning and changing policy. So if we want Susquehanna Township to remain what it has been, our precious community, with our precious school district, as Commissioner Fleming earlier said, that we have coterminous borders. What are we going to have to do? My suggestion has been since 5 years ago to introduce a Local Economic Revitalization Tax Act, a LERTA, which is a state law which allows municipalities, school districts, and counties to adopt property tax value incentives. Now, 5 years ago, we entered discussions with the county and the school district. Of the three, the big three, the Trinity, Susquehanna Township has the least amount, approximately 10% of the total tax value, the total tax pie. School district and the county bear the vast majority of that revenue and those expenses. So they have the largest effect upon the residents and the businesses in the township. So it's pretty easy to attract people to Susquehanna Township when, you know, it's just dawned. So now what we have is an opportunity to implement a Local Economic Revitalization Tax Act. What does that do? It gives every business and every private property owner, residents, the opportunity to improve their properties and delay paying the full value of the taxes on those improvements. So in other words, if you were to improve your property by $100,000, you would not have to pay the full value of the taxes upon the improvement right away, up to 10 years. You could delay that payment. Up until this week, I thought that LERTA idea was not successful, that it hadn't taken any roots. This is the long way around of me saying that I have been told, without any confirmation, certainly I'll let this report grow on its own, that the school district is taking steps to consider adopting a LERTA. Why is that important? Because the county's always been on board, but the school district, of the three, has not yet completely come around to the idea. It is my fervent hope that the school district and the county will work with the township, and the township will lead the way in adopting a LERTA, targeting a LERTA on properties that will show productivity improvements, and it is also my hope that the LERTA will expand eventually to cover the entire township, because I think businesses and private property owners all have the same incentive. You want to improve your lives, and you just need a little help, a little incentive to grow. And that's it. That's my comment. It's been a pleasure working with you all.
We're going to miss you. We're going to miss that kind of upbeat report. Now, I've worked with you for about 18 years, and wasn't always smooth, especially at first, and sometimes in the middle and towards the end. But no, but one thing I could always count on you on is getting into the weeds, because you loved it there, on things that I appreciate but don't necessarily understand, because I don't have your mental capacity and your brain power. Just kidding. I want to say that. Really, I was just kidding. No, I just want to say that, you know, I'm going to miss your service, miss your energy, and wish you well in your future endeavors. And I know Mona couldn't be here, but she'll also be missed in her own way. You know, she brings her own kind of personal, a little different. I mean, even though she says she doesn't understand a budget because it's all just numbers. I mean, yeah, well, budgets tell, or numbers tell a story, you know, but she brought a certain kind of sense and sensibility that I think, you know, snapped all our necks from time to time. In terms of Mona's onto something. And so her kind of approach to local government, I think, served us well. So, miss both of you. Meanwhile, we have in the audience our two oncoming commissioners. We have Fred Falona from the 6th Ward and Carl Hissero from the 3rd Ward. And look forward to your service, your energy. Got big shoes to fill. I know you'll do it.
and we'll see you on January 3rd at 5:30. All right? Thank you.
President?
Yes. Yes, Fred?
Yeah, Sean, this is for you. You were on the board when I was appointed originally. You were an outstanding source of information, never shied away from helping me and answering my questions, and over the years, you've served this township with dignity and professionalism, leading our budget committee for the how many years, and implementing a 5-year plan, and just what you talked about just this evening. You've been a credit to this township and this board, and I appreciate your service, as I'm sure the members of the board and Susquehanna Township residents in general hopefully understand how well you served their interests, and you will surely be missed. And good luck with your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Mr. President, not to be too redundant, but I would like to reflect those comments already made, and both for Commissioner Johnson, who has really taught us how to question and challenge, and really, which I think is very important. But also Commissioner Sanderson, a friend, a mentor, who served twice as long as I have on this board, and an expert on all things state and municipal law, and especially taxes, grants. Has been extremely helpful to my constituents in terms of discovering a state low-interest loan program for sewer improvements, for instance. So, Sean, we appreciate your service. We thank you, and God bless you.
Mr. President? Yes, sir. No, the impassioned comments about the LRTA, I hope everyone listens and takes notes, and that's a sneak preview of what I have been able to experience for 8 years. Good ideas, well thought out, excellently articulated. I've had the pleasure since I joined the board to serve on the budget committee with President Lynch, Sean as the budget chair, and Commissioner Rabarchek. And it has been a privilege, and it's been an honor. And the institution, about 5 or 6 years ago, of a 5-year look ahead on the budget process, and really digging in and getting into, okay, where are our opportunities, where are our pitfalls as we look forward. That was exceptional leadership, and I was privileged to be a part of it. Thank you for everything. I really appreciated working with you, and I would say the same about Mona. Just tremendous person to get to know, very caring about her constituents, very serious about her role and responsibility, and an approach, I think, rooted in common sense. That's what Commissioner Johnson brought, and I learned so much from her. Politics can be a strange business, but I will always respect, when I first started to run, my opponent was, on the other side of the aisle, and I asked for Commissioner Johnson's support, and I was rebuffed, and she did it in a nice way, but I didn't love her answer, but I respected it. I mean, they had established a friendship, and she wasn't going to let politics get in the way of that, and really, really just respect that about her, and have, like I say, enjoyed working with both of you, and I wish you both very well. Thank you, Commissioner.
Pay some bills?
Do we pay bills? What do you think? All
Mr.
right.
President,
One last time.
I move to adopt the report of bills paid December 9th, 2021 in the amount of $1,584,716.24.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Got any comments?
Second of paying the bills. Second of paying the bills. He's our Rain Man, Mr. Rain Man. You'll be missed, brother.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Doesn't seem right without Fred. It's been moved and seconded. Shall we adjourn? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Merry Christmas.